Good morning. I only get one. Oh, I have to turn this little girl on. Little girl, I need to find a name. What should I call her? What should I call her? Michelle? Oh, okay, let's see. Tomato sauce. Usually I'm more ready than I am today, but we're gonna try. Buenos dias, Cheryl. Good morning. Yeah, usually I do a lot of mise en place before now, but we're gonna get it. You know, I had to do my my exercise class this morning, and then, you know, shower and make sure it looks okay. So, but we're here. So today, how is everybody doing? Robin, hola. You know, I have been meaning to do my marinara because that is something I always have in the house because it is so versatile, you know. I don't cook every day. So if I have marinara, I can put it with veggies. I can throw a little bit, as much as I try not to do carbs, right? But these little things, because you know, Chinese influences are strong here. These little things, lo mein, chow mein, 77 cents a pack. And if you put a couple of those, it cooks in like 3 or 4 minutes. And then you just toss it with a good marinara, and you don't ever have to worry about not having something to eat in the house. You know, it's like having peanut butter and jelly. That's the way I look at it. All right. Michelle, okay, you following me? Good. All right, so we're gonna do the marinara. And I thought I would do some veggie burgers and veggie balls because when I have marinara and veggie burger, veggie balls, so I can pretend to do like a spaghetti or pasta and meatballs. So I use the veggie balls with the marinara and then toss it and you're good. Of course, I don't do burgers per se, but this young person said, you know, you could wrap them in lettuce and pretend that you have a burger. You can do that, but I'm not a lettuce kind of person. I prefer to have broccoli and spinach, and now, that's the one that I got the other day, the Swiss chard. And then I was thinking of doing a chickpea salad just because I have some extra chickpeas here that I need to use. So it's not gonna be a big salad, it's gonna be a small salad. So we need to get started, okay? So for the burgers, I am toasting some oats. Usually with my burgers, I would use black beans. I have some lentil, some leftover lentil. I soaked it and cooked some lentil this morning. And then I always have oats. So I'm toasting some oats. Then for texture, right? Because I was whole food plant-based. Well, I'm still whole food plant-based. And for a time there, I wasn't using eggs because you need something to bind the burger so they hold together. So I used to put eggs. So I would replace the eggs with like sweet potatoes or squash. Now I have some leftover squash that I am roasting in the oven. So I'm gonna use that as my binder. It kind of gives you the texture that you want. And then you can put things like olives, peppers that I would, you know, saute. I even have put some little coconut milk, you know, just until I get the consistency. And then you roll the balls. But what I did not leave is like a little bit of cornmeal. Sometimes I would put a little bit of cornmeal and flour and then kind of roll them in that before I put them on the in the saute pan, right? So I made some herb oil. You guys know I like to do olive oil with lots of dry herbs, and then I just added a little bit of garlic, fresh garlic, and I also added some, salt, pepper, fresh herb. You can even put some red pepper flakes in here, thyme. Yeah, that's about it. So I have the squash in the oven. I am toasting my oats just because I want them to cook a little bit. Chickpea water, also known as aquafaba, is a versatile liquid that can be used in place of eggs. Okay, good. Well, yeah, I like the water because if I'm cooking anything else, I'll put it in there. So, but the first thing we need to do right now is get the marinara going, okay? And for my marinara, I always, I was taught that way. You just put a little bit of carrots. You chop carrots really small, you dice them, because it kind of helps the coloring, right? So it's not this bright red, but it gives you that rich color. I also use red wine in my I have some Pinot Grigio. I could use Chardonnay, but my Riesling, I don't like to use it because I like Riesling. All right, so we have that. I have some tomato paste, lots of basil. I found some basil yesterday. Oh, no, that's mint. Yeah. Albahaca, that's how they call it in Spanish. Albahaca for basil. All right, this thing is so hot. And I got some mint yesterday. I go crazy when I find herbs, and then I have cilantro. They use cilantro and culantro interchangeably here, but they're not the same because the culantro is more pungent. But I like having all those herbs there. And of course, I have fresh rosemary. And I use that in oil for my scalp. All right, let's see what else I need to put out here. The peppers and the carrot. That's one little carrot. Okay, there we go. And garlic. Plenty of garlic. And in my marinara, I'll throw in a ahi chumbo, which is not Scotch bonnet, but the other one in Spanish, here in Panama. Not Scotch bonnet, what's the other one? Okay, my brain is doing the slow thing again. All right, sorry, like I said, I don't feel like I am as prepared as I usually am. You all bear with me, okay? So we're gonna do our base, which is your oil, your onions, and then your peppers, and then the carrot. And then you get everything nice and soft. Now this has to be really soft. All right. Whew. So how's everybody doing? How was your Easter? Easter was nice. Here in Panama, Semana Santa, which is Holy Week, they have processions every single day. But I didn't go every day. I went on Friday and on Sunday. They do the other procession where from 2 different churches. And then Jesus, I'm happy to be watching Maggie. Oh, Linda, hola, I have been traveling for a while. Okay. And the other thing too, before we get to Easter, that I do, you can do with marinara. That's why it's so versatile. I do pita, I fill the pita. If you like pita, I have some pita here. I'll show you. You fill it with some of that burger patties, and then you put a little bit of that marinara, and then if you have any kind of cheese, if you're into cheese, mostly mozzarella, okay, because that's, you know. Sometime you could make a meatball sub. Instead of the meatball, you use the veggie ball, and then you put that marinara. That's why marinara is so versatile. And then you can also put some cheese on top, and then put it on the broiler, under the broiler, and there you have a sub. Okay. Alrighty. Whew. No, I've been busy. Why did I stay so busy? I don't know. All right, little girl, yes. You got to follow me, Michelle. I decided I'm calling her Michelle. Michelle. All right. Yep. I love my life. I stay busy. I don't get into anybody's, you know, mess issues. Keep my nose to the ground. And I tell people, when it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And I will go doing something that I love, right? That's the best way to live your life. I was just watching, I didn't catch the news today, but they had like somebody ran into a crowd in Vancouver, Canada, killing 9 people. That evil is with us. And you know, you almost know the reason. Some people were celebrating Filipino something. You pretty much know why. Just so sad. So sad. Like people feel the need to just kill innocent people in their twisted mind. All right. Now you see how I'm chopping the onion a little bit small. Even though once the onion cooks, it will pretty much disappear in the dish. All right, Michelle, you got to show them what I'm doing. Yes, girlie. Okay. And so we do the onion. Then we're gonna do the garlic. Yeah, so Friday, they had a procession. So you start in one church. It's in Casco Viejo. Casco Viejo is the old city. You know, Casco, yeah. What is Casco? Is that Castle? And one group of people start with one church, one group starts at another church. Well, no, Friday is Jesus' death. You know, it's one procession, and then they have, that's why, you know, I think it's a little bit pagan, because they are showing pictures of Jesus. And, you know, I was raised Catholic, but I'm not Catholic anymore. But, you know, carrying a picture of Jesus, what would you call that? It's a ceramic type figure. I don't know. I'm not all into all that, but seeing the devotion of the people, you know, this is a cultural thing for them. So, like I said, I don't have to have an opinion. That the fact that they, you know, they like that. So, I was just happy to be part of it, to be there to witness it, right? And so we're gonna chop. Oh, I'm chopping the carrot, but I need to chop the garlic first. All right, hang on. This girl told me that the garlic here is from China. I don't know. Oh my gosh. All right. And I'm thinking, I'm in the Americas and I'm getting, you know, garlic from China. How does that work? Probably cheaper, I don't know. It was the same thing I said when I was in Ghana. Ghana had historically produced a lot of tomatoes and tomato product. And the word was that the powers to be made it difficult for the farmers to keep their farms open to produce the tomatoes, because they use a lot of tomatoes in their food. And all right, I think this is good. So I'm gonna turn the and so now people are having to import tomatoes and tomato product into Ghana while the farms are shut down. And of course, people don't have jobs. Whew. I don't want to get back on one of my soapboxes, so I'm gonna try really hard to steer away. Now I have 5 cloves of garlic here. Of course, if I'm making marinara, mucho ajo, lots of garlic, okay? I love garlic and I am never shy using it. I also believe that my squash is done, because you know squash doesn't take a long time to cook at all, whether you boil it or whether you're roasting it. I absolutely love squash. Love, love, love squash. It is very abundant here in Panama. All right, so here goes in the garlic. And listen guys, you know how I cook. I'm not rushing to do something. I have to take my time to build my flavors. Ooh, I don't think I have any stock. No bueno. And I have everything to make the stock. I wasn't thinking about it. I saved some of the spine of the broccoli and the broccoli and spinach and all that, but I wish I had some of that chickpea water. And my chickpea doesn't have any water in it, only a little bit, but it will be okay. We're gonna build that flavor. We are chopping some of that carrot. Yeah, I know you wouldn't think about putting carrots in your marinara, but yes, yes, you do. Did I tell you I'm a happy girl because I have my chef's knife? I feel like I can conquer everything, anything. You have a chef without her knife. What's up with that? It's like a nurse without a stethoscope, right? Or a doctor. You need your tool of the trade, right? All right, so I also have some Roma tomatoes because when I'm making marinara, I don't like to just use the canned stuff. I have tomato sauce. I thought I had diced tomato too. Oh, I think I used it. Yes, but that's okay. Because if I have Roma, I don't need diced tomato. I dice it myself. All right, a little bit more of the carrots. Always control the end of your knife so it doesn't move and you don't cut yourself. All right. So you're gonna let that toast. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper, okay? Not a lot. Yeah, my marinara always has a little body to it. It's not just, you know, and you can go to the store and buy your ragu and what was the one I used to get? Prego. You could do that. But you know what I say, it's best to always go natural. And remember, cooking is therapy for me, so I'm not interested in cutting corners. I enjoy the process of cutting and mixing. And I'm glad you enjoy it too because you're with me. So I'm not putting a lot of peppers. I'm gonna save the rest for the burgers. So I'm just doing a little bit of green and red. The yellow, I need to save some of that for my chickpea salad. All right, a little bit of red. That's enough. Hola, Danita. I'm happy to be watching my yes. Love the fact that you say authentic. Yes, ma'am. You know, I used to watch The Pioneer Woman when I was in the States and I had access to all the cooking channels. I don't think the plan I have here that I'm able to watch all that, even though some people find ways, you know, to get a stick or something, I don't know. But I'm not so much into television, so if I need to watch a movie or something, I'll use my laptop. I'm not. My television is on for the news. I like to know what's happening locally. And of course, you get a whiff of what's happening internationally as well. But, alrighty. So now I'm going to, you see, I'm going to dice the tomatoes because I also want the tomatoes, just like if you're making chili, I don't want, you know, them to be big dices. I just want them to be small and to kind of dissolve into the sauce. All right. All right, Michelle. I think Michelle gets a little blind sometimes. It's like, I'm over here. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That is funny. All right. So we are going to, ooh, I may only need 2 tomatoes. And I know I spent time doing it, but yes. What's the point? You know, when I think back of what I used to feed my family, I am so ashamed. All these processed, bottled, canned stuff. I mean, I have a can of black beans here, but I could have cooked the black beans too. But black bean takes a long time to cook for me. I don't know why that is, but. And I do use canned coconut milk. I know I could crack it, and yeah, I allow myself to cheat a couple of times on a couple of items. Coconut milk and some canned beans, yes. Like cannellini, yeah, I buy the can. Although it does not agree with me. White beans don't do well with my tummy. I don't know why. Do you guys find that as you get older, you're starting to not tolerate certain food? I wasn't like that. Coffee. Sometimes I can't sleep after I have coffee. Sometimes I sleep. It's crazy. Nice. Yeah. Only 1 tomato. I don't need more than that. Because I have tomato sauce. All right. right. I'm still thinking of the pepper. It's not scratch bonnet, but the other kind. Wow. Not jalapeno. Sometimes I'll put jalapeno in here, but I don't have jalapeno in the house. So, this needs to cook down. The tomato and pepper mixture. It needs to cook down until it gets really soft so it can dissolve more in the sauce. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to throw that whole pepper in there. Just whole. I don't want the heat. Cooking is therapy. Exactly for me, it is. I like that. Colorful plate. Yep, you eat with your eyes. Yes, ma'am. And of course, I told you that when I was in school, you got graded not just on, you know, your cooking technique and how the dish tastes, but how you presented it was half your grade. So you had to do that. Okay, once this cooks down, then I'm gonna deglaze with the wine. And then I add my tomato sauce. And then let it cook. And then flood it with basil at the end. But I want to make a bouquet again to do the, to up the flavor. I'm gonna see if I still have some fresh thyme. I got a little bit. Okay, so I can do that. A bouquet garni. So what's happening in your neck of the wood? How is life? I left Florida early March. And you know, for my family members, they were feeling really stressed when I was there, but now I don't feel too much. So maybe things are settling down a bit. Hola, Greta. Hey. Yeah, are people feeling a little bit less anxious? I don't know. You know, for about 2 weeks here, I was really down. I mean, seriously, I was like, I don't know what's happening here. And I'm usually a strong person, right? But that whole thing was beginning to affect me. But I think I woke up maybe 3 days ago and I was like, okay, I don't feel like overwhelmed with everything. So that's why you tell people everything has a season. So you don't try to make drastic decision when you're down. Even relocation, I tell people that don't rush to make a decision because something is happening right now. You got to think it through because, as my mother used to say, nothing lasts forever. So even your emotions. So I'm putting the thyme, the cilantro, and then I'm going to put a couple of bay leaves. Hola, Carla. Plate boards. Oh, I haven't seen that name. Bienvenida, welcome. We're making a marinara sauce, and once it starts to, oh, those leaves are not whole, and I don't really want it to disappear in my dish. All right, forget the bay leaves. Maybe I'll just put maybe one. There is one in there. I'll put it in. Okay. Now, bay leaves is not something I want to be crunching on when I cook, when I eat. All right. Ooh, everything is coming together. So now we're gonna deglaze. Okay. You want to put some wine in your food, and of course, you know, I went to cordon bleu, so we use a lot of wine in cooking. When you make coq au vin, I'll make coq au vin one day for you guys. It's a truly French dish. It's a kind of, it's a chicken dish that you cook with red wine and lots of mushrooms. All right, so let's deglaze. I don't know what happened. I didn't use my wine thing, and this time got inside my bottle. But we're gonna deglaze with the wine. So it could be like half a third to half a cup. The difference with the marinara, you want the wine to evaporate, right? Because you don't want the taste of the wine in your food. You just want it to deglaze with that and then let it cook off. That's why some people is like, well, aren't you gonna feel tipsy or whatever? No. But when you do coq au vin, you put a lot of wine. You know how you do the roast and stuff and you put wine in? Mm-hmm. All right, so that's there. We are going to put some tomato paste once that's deglazed. I have 1 can of tomato sauce. Oh, that's another can I buy sometime. I mean, you don't have to. You could just do the tomato paste and the rest of it, and you should be fine. All right, the wine is cooking off. But see, I have the bouquet garni. I have the whole habanero. That's the name. Oh my gosh. You see how long it took me to make the connection? The brain cells are not connecting fast anymore. That is the most irritating thing. I'm looking at something and I'm like, I know what that is, but it doesn't connect till maybe 5 minutes later. Oh, growing old. But you know what I tell people? I said, if I eventually remember, I'm grateful. When I never remember or I look at it and I'm like, what is that? And I can't even, my brain doesn't recognize it, that's when you start worrying. Mm-hmm. With the dementia fear that we have, yes, that's when you start worrying. When your loved one looks at you and is like, who are you? Who the hell are you? That's very hurtful. Yep. Very, very hurtful. Okay, vamos con pasta de tomate. Tomato paste. Now, in my culture, we use a lot of tomato paste, but I don't usually like to put tomato paste in gravy and stuff like that. I don't. And I don't do gravy a lot because I feel like if you're using fat or you have a meat that is very fatty, that's where the fat is rendered. And then when you have the gravy, you're ingesting all that. So I'm not a fan. All right, tomato paste is in. Wine is dried off, evaporated off. So I'm gonna put my tomato sauce. And this is when I'm going to add, I would have added my stock if I had it, but I don't, so I'm gonna use water. And I did say that a good chef always has stock. This way. Hi, Michelle. Michelle was looking for me. Sometimes it needs a little help. Oh my God, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. Okay. Now, when you get your sauce, you don't want it to be too thin, and you don't want it to be too thick, okay? And that comes with practice and experience, okay? I also have, you know, in Panama, we use a lot of tomato products because of the Spanish influence, and there's a lot of pasta that is written here. So you're gonna find lots of tomato paste, tomato sauce, capers, olives, abundant. I mean, a lot of it. So if you are Italian and you love tomato-based product, you're gonna be in good hands. You're gonna be okay. All right, So now we're gonna let this simmer. Now I'm gonna season a little bit because I haven't put anything in here. I could have seasoned the peppers and stuff, but it's okay. Again, adobo, sin pimienta without hot peppers. Lots of paprika. I always love paprika. Red pepper. Parsley, a little bit of dry parsley. And I'm going to put some oregano, okay? There's dry basil leaves, but I do have fresh basil to finish it off with. So I'm going to turn the back burner. And then we're going to start on the burgers. All right. Slap your mama. I can't forget slap your mama. I have to cook with it. Okay? Alright. So, this is our sauce. For a beginning, that's good. Alright, now I'm going to have to cover this because I don't want it to splash all over the place. Alright, so for our burgers, or veggie balls, I'm gonna put everything in this glass bowl. Hi, Michelle. I'm gonna use this glass bowl to just mix everything, okay? It's not even layering, it's just, all right. So, but I have to get my pepper and onion mix done first. Again, that's the base. So I'm gonna do the onion, the garlic, the peppers, maybe some chopped cilantro, and then we're gonna get that going, okay? All right. So you notice that when I'm cooking, it's always onion, garlic, and sometimes peppers. You know, you've heard of the Holy Trinity, right? And people use, what's the other one? Onion, peppers, and celery, right? I don't use celery that much, but I could have used some celery here. So if you have celery, you could use that as part of your Holy Trinity, okay? And again, if you're one of those people who say, well, I'm proudly oil-free and I'm not your girl. And if you are into raw vegan, I'm not your girl either because I don't eat raw like that. Now you want the onion to be small, but not as small as I wanted it in the marinara, because your burger, you want to have consistency. Always think of consistency when you're doing your cuts. So when I do the onions, I couldn't find red onion yesterday for the salad. I definitely don't want them too big, right? Who wants to bite in a big piece of onions? Oh. Okay. And what's that cooking? I'm gonna get some garlic. And since I'm a garlic nut, I never feel like I have enough. I think this might be in the way. So I did not do the live last week for Easter, but like I was telling you, I was gonna make a frittata, which is what I always do for Easter when I was, when I was in the States. I always did, we always had a frittata, but I used to do, bacon or sausage. That was before. But now, a frittata, and I've said that several times, the only difference between a quiche and a frittata is the crust, right? When you have a quiche, you have a flour-based crust, like you were going to do a pie, except it's not sweet, right? You don't have to put sugar in it. But for the frittata, you just use a mandolin and slice a nice potato, and then you cook it on the stove for a little bit to get it a little bit soft, and you use that at the bottom as your base. Yum. And then you put whatever veggies you want, you cook them like that, you saute them, and then you put it on top of your potatoes. Then you do your egg mixture, and I'll do it one day. Your egg mixture, always add a little cream and some nutmeg with your egg. And then you pour the egg mixture, and then you top with cheese. It's the easiest thing to cook, and it's so good, so good. All right? Now that we're not thinking that eggs are the enemy of humanity, you can have some eggs. Oh my God, for decades. Oh my God, if you eat an egg, you're going to die of a heart attack. Remember how many times they told us that? And then now it's like, you can have the egg. It's actually good for you. That's why I don't listen to folks. When they start telling me what I can and can't eat, I'm like, everything in moderation. I just don't like to feel constrained. Hola. Yes, the Holy Trinity. How many days will the meal last? Which meal? This one here? Well, it's not really a meal. I like to do different things, and then I like to mix and match what I have. Like I said, the marinara, I can toss in some pasta, and even your pasta, you don't even need the marinara. The easiest pasta is you slice some onions and garlic, you boil your pasta, you toss it in there, you put a little bit of, you use the pasta water to keep it nice and fluid, and then a little salt and pepper, and then you top it with some grated cheese, and then of course if you have basil or parsley or whatever, that's it. You don't really need to have marinara. So that's why for me, those little Chinese lo mein packs, it's like security. If I don't have anything in the house, I'll find something. And sometimes I'll throw the pasta in with some chickpeas. If I have broccoli, throw it in there. I just mix and match what I have. I usually don't make meals per se, for me. So because I'm cooking here with you guys, I try to do things that I know I'm going to like to eat, right? But today, it's not going to be helpful. All right, now the peppers. Because I'm trying to stay low on the carb, but the peppers, the veggie balls, that's going to be very helpful. And I do have some pita. I bought some pita bread, and I'll show you how you could do pita wedges, a meatball sub, or if you want to just do, let's just do that, and then we don't have to do the pasta, right? Now I'm just building for the burgers right now, so give yourself time. Don't be in a rush. Okay? Small dices. Now when I do the marinara, for me, I will use some of these because I brought those from home. because I had a hard time finding them here in Panama. I don't know why. But I used to buy these by the boxes because, you know, at the cafe, people used to come and order soups in those. So we would put the soups in there and sell them. By the boxes, we used to get those things. And I try not to eat meat. But the other thing that I want to cook for you guys, I want to show you how to make ratatouille. Ratatouille, when you are whole food plant-based, you have to come with very creative ways of making food that tastes good, that you are going to eat, right? Because if it's like, I've seen people, I mean, they don't know, you know, I don't want to be, ooh, I got some yellow one. I love the yellow peppers. I try not to be critical of people when they cook because some people just, you know, that's not their forte. But when there was a channel or a group or Facebook group I used to watch a lot, I don't watch it so much, but this Asian, something plant-based, she's a nutritionist, right? And she does a podcast where she talks about eating whole food plant-based and the benefits and all that. And, you know, I know all that myself. But some people would say, yes, I need to go whole food plant-based because my blood sugars are up. And that's one of the reasons that I went. My A1C was like 6 point something. And I was like, oh, hell no. We gotta go full on and reverse that. And you can reverse diabetes with diet, right? But some people would always showcase, you know, show their plate. And some of those plates, I was like, who's gonna eat that? You know, they throw some quinoa and some chickpeas and maybe some dry broccoli. I know I couldn't eat that. You gotta make the food make sense. All right, I don't put tomatoes in my burgers because tomatoes are too watery. Okay, but look at this pretty thing. Okay, all right, so once I get that soft, I'm halfway there. So I'm gonna season this now, okay, because I want my burgers to taste yummy. And like I said, once I mix my mixture, then I have to work on the taste because it has to taste good for me. If it doesn't, no lo como. I don't eat it. You know what? Because turmeric is so good for you, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some in there. Curcuma, turmeric in Espanol. And they have plenty of it here, so it's not. And then I have some fresh one that I get from the farmer's market. 60 cents for a pound of fresh turmeric. You hear me? That's insane. All right, let me not forget the marinara there because I don't want it to. Ooh, that is so good. Now what I like to put in this also is a splash of lemon juice or lime juice. I have lime these days. Like I said, lime, they just balance the flavor. Now, you don't have to do this, but because I'm Caribbean, I like a little heat. I'm gonna put a little bit of salsa picante. This is from a place here in Panama called Colon, where the Caribbean people are, and they make this. I wish I could eat your food. Oh, don't call me Granny. Come on, call me Maggie. All right. You know, what was I cooking the other day? And I added a little bit. It just stabilized the flavor. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because I don't eat meat, you know. Usually people think of putting hot sauce on their meat. So I put it in my food. All right. So this is good. I'm going to throw it in my beautiful bowl, which is where we are going to get our burgers. I think I have everything now. Oh, I just have some olives that I need to slice into it. All right, let's put that here. And let's bring the marinara back and finish it off. Ooh, slow down so you don't splash me. Oh no, it needs to cook a little more. It needs to thicken some more. Okay? It's too watery. All right, now I'm thinking of flavor. Oh, slap your mama. It's time to get some more. All right, I had to put it on my list. So ratatouille is a French dish. I don't know, I mean, I learned French cooking, but ratatouille is a Mediterranean type mix of veggies, but the base is eggplant, tomatoes, and peppers, and then you season. You could do it on the stove, or you could put it straight in the oven, and then you finish it off with some Parmesan cheese. Yummy. Yum, yum, yum. So with that, I could do some more. You know what I could do? I was thinking of that jerk chicken because that seasoning was so good. But there is another French inspired way of cooking chicken that it's almost like you're going to be doing chicken Parmesan. You know, you flatten it, and then you put it, and then you use wine. Ooh, I think that's what I'll do. Chicken à la française, I think that's what they call it. Okay, this is hot, so we can put that there. So we're gonna build our burger. So I have some chickpeas here. This is what, like white, okay? Now, what I don't want is anything to be watery, okay? Because once you get that mixture mixed up, it's really hard to get it back. Then you're gonna have to think of putting flour and stuff, and I don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna let it drain here. I'm draining the chickpeas in a strainer here. I cooked the chickpeas with some garlic, so I wanna be sure I'm fishing that garlic in here. I don't want it to go to waste because that's still good flavor. Okay, while this is draining, I had some bay leaves. I'm picking those out. I'm gonna drain the black beans. Same thing. Oh, I like a can that have those, that you don't have to. I'm gonna drain it at the sink and bring it back. Now, I didn't rinse it because I wanted that thickening, whatever. And then once I put the beans in, I'm gonna smash them, some of it, a little bit, not too much, right? Because again, I'm thinking of my texture that I want. think that's good. Then I'm gonna add my oats that I toasted. Okay. Yep, I think the texture is good. Because the oat is also a binder for you and it adds body. Okay. Now, that's still too hot. Also thinking of texture, I have my roasted squash, or you could do sweet potatoes, or you could do regular potatoes, okay? I've used regular potatoes as well. So I'm gonna smash that and put it in my mix. Think of this as your binder instead of using eggs, but you could put a whole egg in there. I just love squash, so to me, that's it. Ooh, yum. Okay, so let's mix. So now the only thing I have left to add is olives. Where are my olives? Where did I put them out? Oh yeah. So now I found that the olives were a little pricey, okay? So I'm gonna use, I have some black olives that I need to use for my Mediterranean salad. So I'm gonna save that, but I'm gonna use the regular olives without pit, and I'm gonna chop them. All right. I'm gonna chop some down here. I absolutely love the taste of olives. But they are salty, so I have to be careful. Michelle, you didn't miss me? Come on. Don't forget to hit the like. Oh, thank you so much. Okay. All right, Michelle, what are you doing? All right, there you go. You're gonna say, I'm here, mommy. All right, we're gonna chop those olives. Yummy. Now I could have bought capers. I've used capers, but I didn't. I thought it would be a bit much. And then I'm gonna have to put a bunch of fresh cilantro in here, okay? Now also, if you're doing your burgers, if you have any spinach laying around, you could chop some. I haven't used broccoli, but definitely spinach. Or you know what else I like to put? Sun-dried tomatoes. That's good too in your burgers. Those veggie burgers is a way for you to throw everything that you really like into it, all right? And then I know I'm gonna have to put some lemon juice. Yep, there is no perfect or one recipe for your burgers. All right, let's put some cilantro, mucho cilantro. Don't need the spine. And then we're ready to cook our burgers and our balls. And I'll show you how easy it is to make those. And then, you know, when I make them, like somebody asked me how long it lasts. when you make those balls, you just cool them off and put them in baggies, put them in your freezer. And you could do smaller baggies. And then when you're ready to use them, you take them out. Now, if you're gonna be making spaghetti and meatball, you cook the pasta, gotta be careful because the balls are very fragile. So you take your marinara, you warm it up, and you put the balls in there, you kind of gently, move them around and then put them on top of your pasta. I do that. So if I say I'm having spaghetti and meatballs, it's with veggie balls. Why not? They're my balls. And I do the same thing with the patties. You put them in baggies and take them out. So when you're gonna eat them, take them out of the freezer, put them in your regular fridge, so the next day they're soft. Now those, if you want to firm them up, you can put them like in a toaster oven on low or on your oven. Or you could put them on the stove top too. You can do that. Okay? Don't, limit yourself to what you can do with your food. It's your food. You can cook it however you want. And then the veggie balls, you could have a side of quinoa with it. They're very versatile. And if you want to do a real burger, get some buns, toast them in a pan, and then put them on the bun, put your tomato, pretend you're having a real burger. What I used to like making onion rings also at the restaurant, so that when people came and they ordered a burger, we used to make a blue burger, which was, I hate to say it, it was a 70%, 70-30. When I went to the store, that's what I used to look for, because nobody wants a dry burger. If you're gonna say, oh, it's fat-free, don't have a burger. All right, so our mix is just perfecto. Look at that. So I threw away this week because I wanted to just take everything out that was a little bit, that was a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of dangerous, because I'm trying to be on a low carb. So I had a bunch of corn products, that was trying grits and stuff, so I threw them away. But if you have cornmeal at home, just put that in a little bowl with a little bit of flour, and then when you do your veggie balls, you just kind of lightly dust them. It makes them easier to cook in the pan. Okay? All right. So I'm tasting. It tastes good, but I'm going to add a little bit more. I definitely know I need some acid, so I still have some of that. Acid stabilizes your flavors. You've heard me say that a lot, right? Okay. I don't like to feel like I'm preaching to the choir. All right. And a little bit of, I don't know, maybe not slap your mama. You see the consistency, okay? So now I only have flour. I am going to put a little bit of flour on a plate. Okay. Yum, yum. Okay. All right. So now we're getting ready. I'm going to do some burgers first. this pan. It's too shallow. Nope, Ace or no. Don't miss that. Michelle, are you following? Huh. Oh, Michelle, you were following me. You're so sweet. Okay, I'm going to have to use my old pan. Do you have a pan that you know exactly which pan to use for whatever? Yeah. Okay. We're going to turn that one to high. Now you can either use Pam spray. You can. I do not have. You know, I find Spam here. Oh, Pam. And they're a little pricey here. You know, certain things in Panama are expensive. All right. Hello, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Not all pans are for all meals. I know. You know, it's like there was a girl when I was, I had just a little bit flour. When I was working in the hospital, and you know, we had a really tight team. I used to make a lot of muffins for us, you know, before I went to work, and everybody would snack on that. But hers was making brownies, and she used to make the best brownies. But she would bring the brownies in this rickety looking pan. And we were like, oh my goodness, this thing is so old. And she swore by it. She said, no, you don't understand. She said, this is the only pot, the only pan that I used to make the brownies. And she said if she used anything else, it didn't come out quite right. So I understand. All right, this thing is challenging me today. Okay. All right. So I think I need to put it on a flat plate. Yeah. Okay. The flour needs to go in on a flat pan. Come this way, Michelle. All right, Michelle, my Michelle. Okay. So we have our flour laid out. Okay, in your case, because if you're in the US and you can find that cornmeal and you're going to mix it in with some of your flour. Still. Michelle, you're stressing me, girl. Stop it. Turn. There we go. Stay right there. Don't move. Okay. This is why, okay, I'm going to turn you off. I want you to do what I want you to do, not what you want to do. Oh. Okay, I turned it off, I think. All right, so I am going to put a little bit of oil in my pan, not a lot. And you're going to coat it. All right. Now you see, it's so easy to form your balls, okay? You take a little bit, you put it in your hand, and you roll. And you roll. And here's your ball, okay? And then you just roll it in the flour mixture just a little bit because you're trying to give it a little body so it doesn't disintegrate, right? But the oats are there to help you with the texture. So is the squash that I put in there, or if you want to use sweet potatoes or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna do more balls than anything, okay, because I find that the balls, because of their size, it's a lot easier, and it's almost like you're making meatballs, right? You just roll in your hand. So I didn't have to put any coconut milk because the squash gave me the texture that I needed. So I'm gonna put them in that pan, you know, for like maybe, I don't know, maybe 10. And then I'll do maybe 3 patties, so you could just see what the veggie burger patty looks like. So you buy some hamburger bread and yeah, don't put mayonnaise now, okay? Otherwise you just undoing all the good thing you're trying to do by eating right. And mayonnaise, it's egg white and oil. That's all it is. And if we're not worried about eggs too much, well, you know what I say. Anything in moderation. Just don't go to the fast food store several times a week. Ooh, I work with people like that. And I'm like, how do you eat that stuff 3 times, 4 times a week? That's too much. Or they'll go to Starbucks and they get one of those large, what's it they used to call it? And they put all that milk and fat, and then they top it with the cream. This girl that I work with, and of course she, you know, was a little plump. She had one of those every day. That stuff is loaded with fat. And I'm like, yes, it's convenient. Yes, it tastes good, but it is killing you. What's up, Just Jetta? We're making veggie balls. I'm shaping the balls and putting them in. They're gonna cook. And I'm gonna make a couple of veggie patties. And then the rolling in that little flour is important. Don't miss that step. Okay? So I have 2, 4, 6, 7. Probably do a dozen. That way I have things to eat for the next few days. But again, I can use them in all kinds of ways. All right. Let's see. And you see, I didn't use a lot, right? And when you look at it, this dish, these burgers, these rolls don't cost a lot of money. Squash, a can of black beans, and if you want to buy a can of, I don't think I've said canned lentil, but I use lentil, but I guess you could use garbanzo beans. You could use any kind of beans that you want. Oh, they look so good. They look so good. Oh my gosh. And then you sit there, you put a little marinara on it. Maybe you have a salad. You know, I've done salad with those. Quinoa, you cook them with quinoa on the side. And like this sister said, you could just put them like, make a boat with them, you know, with, you could do the lettuce as well. All right, so this is left. I'm gonna make some patties with those. I'm gonna move my flour to the side and just form a patty. It's your burger patty. Okay? So when you're warming it, you can warming it, you know, on the stove, in a skillet. You can put it in a toaster, Or you could put it in the oven just to warm it up. But everything in here is pretty much cooked. You're just toasting it to get the good color, and look at that. Easy does it. So I think I'm gonna end up with maybe 3 patties, like I said, and 1 extra ball. This is just practice. You just roll it in your hand. I think the challenge with these burgers is just to get the texture right. You don't want it to be watery, okay? All right. Woo, we are done. Yeah, maybe I'll leave that salad for another time. All right. So, well, actually, this is too big for a ball, so we're gonna have a junior burger. All right, there this goes. Messy. So good. Veggie balls. All right. Let's check on our marinara. Should be good by now. Yeah, so I am going to it's still a little bit watery. I'm gonna let it cook uncovered so it can thicken up. If you have anything that you're cooking that the texture is not what you want it to be, but it is, the flavors are on point and you think it's done cooking, you can add a little bit of cornstarch, just a little bit, just to thicken it. This is a thing that all cooks do that, okay? So what I want to do right now, oh, I didn't put oregano. You have to put oregano in your marinara, oregano. And then right now, I'm going to add all the basils. All right, my trusted spatula. I love this spatula. Now, these balls are very delicate, okay? So when you are moving them, be gentle, okay? You don't want them to, you want that caramelization at the bottom, but make sure they don't fall apart on you, okay? That's just the way it is. So be very gentle. You see how the bottom comes out? That's what you want. And don't put a lot of oil in your pan because you don't want too much oil going inside your burgers, your balls. You don't want all in your balls. Oh. Ah. Right. But it's a labor of love. Give yourself time to turn them around. Don't be in a rush. Turn them over. Again, everything inside the balls is already cooked. So you're just trying to get the form. Okay? Nice. Veggie balls. All right, marinara. All right. I'm letting it cook uncovered so it can thicken up. In the meantime, I'm going to flood it with fresh basil, albahaca. Albahaca. I tried to remember to do this maybe a couple of weeks ago. I bought 2 things of basil that went bad because I didn't get to it. Basil doesn't last long here. So even though you see how much is here, if I don't use it for something within the week, it will go bad. Just the way it is. And then this is another one, you just want the leaves. You don't need the spine. And I saved the spine for my stock. Hopefully I'll remember to do it after I finish here today. All right, so I think what we're gonna do now is just do like a marinara with spaghetti, you know, with the balls. And then we'll do a boat. I said I was gonna do the Mediterranean salad, but that might be too much. Yeah, too much. So we'll do a boat with the pita bread, and I'll show you how to make a sub also, because I was able to find a sub bread in that little bakery that I went to. That was good. Now, if I had basil leaves that were long, I will show you the chiffonade technique, but those are kind of small. The chiffonade, you just move the leaves, you roll, and then you slice it really, really small. Because basil is one of those herbs that, it's not like parsley. You don't get to chop it a certain way. You just roll it, and then you just chop it really small, fine. The chef used to say, "You're bruising the basil." I'm bruising the basil? They're just, it's a different breed, I'm telling you. In a kitchen, I mean a classic kitchen, it's a different lingo. We use different lingo. And I used to wonder, you see how I chopped it? It's not, no, you just do slice. You call that chiffonade, which is of course a French word. But yeah, what do you guys think I should cook with the ratatouille? Now, if I could find some nice cod, I think it would be nice with the ratatouille. There would be a nice in lettuce wrap. Yes, ma'am, excellent. But like I said, I don't buy lettuce a lot. We'll bake and make them eggless. Okay, the oats are a good enough binder. Yes, ma'am. Coconut milk, just a little bit. I've used it a couple of times, but it's not a regular, okay, it's starting to get the consistency that I want. Oh, yum. All right, let me take the bouquet garni out before it disappears in here. We'll take the bouquet out. And also the habanero pepper before it disappears in there. Now this is my addition. You don't need to put the habanero pepper, okay? But you know, I'm Caribbean and we like a little heat with everything, so. All right. So I think my bowls are ready. Yummy. But again, like I said, I'm going to show you how you can put them, make a boat out of them with the patty, with the, yeah, the pita. All right. The thing also to keep in mind, when you are cooking your balls, the more oil you put in there, the more it's going to be absorbed. So if you don't want a lot of oil, just use pan spray or just very little, because you see that pan is oilless. Whatever oil I had in there has been absorbed. All right, so we're gonna take them out. I'm gonna take my balls out. Ouch. I help the shape back up, but it's hot, so be careful. Ouch. Ooh. All right, so now I'm gonna do the burger patties. You know, the balls, they're done. Same thing with the patties. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil, spread it around, enough so they don't stick. I'm wondering what happened to my other pan. I don't have nobody come here to borrow anything. All right, the patties are ready. Same thing, a little dusted with a little bit of flour. Whatever flour you use, almond flour, whatever. I'm not particular about flour because I don't use it that much. And I don't bake that much, so. So we have 4 patties. 3 regular patties and 1 junior patty. Okay. All right. All right. Because I don't know what's happening with my other pan, we're going to cook the pasta in here so I can show you a regular pasta with the marinara. I do have Parmesan cheese that we can shave, not shave, but I'll just grate a little bit on top of the pasta. And then the regular patties, I don't have any lettuce. All right. So we got our cheese ready. And I did not want to have to eat pasta today, but and same thing with your patties. Be gentle when you flip them. Okay? Woo. They look good. All right. Marinara is done. Very good. Very, very good. So I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in this water for the pasta. When you hear somebody say salt like the sea, that's what they would tell us when we cook pasta. They would say make sure you put enough salt in the water. So you're not thinking low salt or whatever, unless, like I said, you're not into salt. But these are principles of French cooking. Salt like the sea. Maybe not French if it's pasta, it might be Italian. But you know, when I was in school, we did dishes from Hungary, and they used a lot of paprika. We had one dish that we did. It was some kind of chicken in a sauce that was all red. Now, I did not like that. But it is something that we did. We did wonton. They made us make mayonnaise, mustard. We made sausages. What else? All kind of weird stuff. And I remember taking my test. One of our chefs was a butcher. And you had to take a test. They made me watch a movie of how they killed the hog and the cows. I was traumatized. I don't want to ever watch that again. And you had to take a test for all the different, they give you a picture of a cow, I guess. And then you had to identify all the different parts and what it's called. I got 100 on it though. And I remember the chef, I was the oldest person in the class, of course, because I'm old. All the kids were like right out of high school. And then he's like, you all don't know that Miss Maggie got it. I'm like, why do you have to say that to these kids? But now don't ask me, I don't remember. I remember the shoulder. So that when we make, there's a dish that we make with the pork, where we make griot, we call that. And I remember that the best part of the hog that you had to, we're gonna put our pasta in here. That you had to do, what you had to use was the shoulder. I don't know if it's because the shoulder doesn't work as much, because certain part of the cow, the toughness is related to how much they had to use that muscle. And if you wanted something with marbling that is soft, you had to make sure there's some layers of fat. And that's why when we were making burgers, you should not buy fat-free burger, you know, a 10% fat. What you cooking? I know. Oh, Gael, you watching? I haven't made griot in a long time. Don't come and ask me for griot, okay? Because that is just too fatty. And I don't fry anything in my kitchen anymore, so no griot for you, buddy. All right. But griot is, oh my gosh. You know, it's like pork belly fried. All right, so the pasta water is cooking. I'm just gonna put 2 of these in the water. Let it cook really quick. Then we're gonna do our plating. One and 2. All right. Now I'm gonna turn the oven on again, and I'm going to take one of the pitas, just gonna warm it up in the oven because we're gonna fill it up with a few of those balls. It's kind of a versatile way to, you know, eat the pita. But the reason I bought it though, I was gonna cut it in wedges and baste it with my herb oil, put it in the oven and use it as pita wedges for my salad. But we can do that next week. So we're gonna do one of these, and just to warm it up, and then the sub. Like I said, I found a sub bread at that little bakery. So we're just gonna warm it up a little bit. And then we'll move the camera over so we can plate. All right, I think my burger patties are ready. So you can go put them in your lettuce leaves or on your burger patty, your burger, whatever you want to call it, and make it into a burger, okay? All right, so I am going to freeze those for myself. Okay? The burger patties, aren't they beautiful? Yes. And this is where Michelle's gonna help me by turning around and letting you see what is happening. All right. All right, we are just about ready. I'm gonna move the pasta over here so you could see what's happening. You see how easy it is, they disappear. Or you could use regular spaghetti. Hola. But these are so easy and they're really tasty. So I did buy some spaghetti, but all right. I'm gonna take a picture of, ooh, okay, my balls, and my patties. Okay. So, my marinara is done. I have the cheese ready. And then the only thing I want to get some basil to decorate the pasta plate. To find a nice stick of basil sometimes can be a challenge. That's a good one. Okay, that's a nice one too. All right. So we're gonna decorate with those for the pasta. Yesterday, I watched this program about them making pho. But the work that went into making the broth for the pho was amazing. They use a boatload of cinnamon, spices, and all kind of cardamom, and lemongrass, and lots of oxtail. And they said they cooked it for like 22 hours. Oh my God. And then when they put everything together, you know, the Asians spend a lot of time making their broth. And so do the Peruvian people. Because that soup I was telling you guys that I was eating, OMG. They spend a lot of time making their broth. They call it caldos. C-A-L-D-O-S. So you say caldo de gallina. That means chicken broth, a broth with chicken. Caldo de res, broth with, broth with beef, caldo de cerdo, broth with pork. And oh my gosh, it's amazing. All right, I'm gonna get rid of some of the liquid, not all of it, because you've probably heard, come on, Michelle, I'm here. There you go. Yes, it's very important to pay attention. Again, it's just the idea of, you know, making sure, oops, my bread. See, that looks good, but the other bread is a little bit hard, so I might have to put it in the microwave for a second. No, that's good. Okay, got my bread and my pita. All right. So right over here, I'm just gonna put a little bit of butter in the pasta, okay? That is just my little trick. You don't have to do it if you're not, if you're like anti-butter, like a lot of people are, because it's like it comes from the cow or from the milk. I don't really do that, but thing has a mind of its own. All right. So what it does, it just gives a shine to this pasta. Look, you see how beautiful it is? You know, when you say, no butter, I'm like, okay. It's just gorgeous looking. You know, that's why I stop you sometimes, because you just get on my nerves. All right. This is the pasta. So we're going to put some of that pasta sauce in it. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like my pasta swimming in the, I just like it to be wet enough, okay? Now, if your marinara is on point, you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to season this again. You don't. Don't need to do anything to it. Okay? But it's up to you. If you like your pasta wet, you can always add a little bit more. You've seen the chefs do the twisting, right? That's something that they learn to do in culinary school. All right, so turn that off. Okay, then we're gonna shave some of that Parmesan, not shave, just grate it. And you know, this is the easiest thing to cook. But the marinara, I don't know, you might think it took a little while, but here's your pasta. See? See? Okay. Now, we're going to do the pita. This is the pita. I'm going to use a serrated knife. You cut it halfway in the middle. Now, the pitas you have to be gentle with. Let's see where we're going to put it in, what you're going to put it in. Because you're going to have to sit it in a plate. Yeah, this is good. Okay? You're going to gently open it so it doesn't break. Whew. I think that's the biggest part with the pita, okay? Now we're going to put some of the balls inside. So 1 and 2. Okay, I got 1. The balls are a little big for this one. It might need something to hold it. I don't know. I don't have anything to hold it. Are we gonna do 1? We're gonna do 2. Okay, this one has broken up a little bit, but I call them the boats. And then you just top it with some marinara. You can also shave a little bit of that Parmesan Reggiano. Okay. Now, here you could have put maybe, I'm thinking you could do some grilled squash, you could do some cauliflower, you could do some broccoli, you put it on the side, but I don't have those, so I'm just gonna stick some basil leaves next to it. All right, just to add a little je ne sais quoi to the plate. All right, so you do the boat, and we're gonna do, I'm gonna put this in the microwave just a little bit. It's a little bit hard. You know, I've had this in there since Friday. So it's like, I'm tired of being in here. And then same thing, we're gonna use our veggie balls to make the sub. And let's see where we're gonna put that. Okay, that's a good plate. That's a pretty one. No, I don't think that will work. We're gonna do a flat one. Or when I used to do subs, we had little baskets that we used to put with them. All right. So you cut the bread, you open it. Remember how you do your subs? Your sandwich subs? Oh my God, we used to make so many of those. Same thing. You put a couple of meatball sub, the meatballs, and then you put some marinara. Now at this point here, this is where you would put the mozzarella cheese, okay? And then you put it back in the oven and let, you know, we used to have, we call that, what did we used to call that? salamander, and then you let it, it's like the broil, and then you let the cheese melt. So these are ideas for you if you make the veggie balls that you know, you could be versatile in how you use them. Okay? But for the purpose of this thing here, since we don't have the basket and we don't have the mozzarella, I'm just gonna put some of this Parmesan. Okay? So when you make marinara and you make veggies, let's say here, I could probably put tomato slices to decorate this, because tomato and subs go together. Could do that. And then just put a little bit of sea salt, you know, on this, but because I have my herb oil, I'm going to use a little bit of that herb oil to decorate and to season the tomatoes. Woo. Yeah, baby. Ooh. Look at that. All right, you guys. Over here, we have our veggie ball subs. Okay? Then you make marinara and you have spaghetti and marinara. Simple. But if you wanted to add some veggie balls in the sauce and mix it in here, you could as well. And we made pita boats. You put the veggie balls inside pita and then you eat it like I guess like a wrap. Okay? But these, I didn't do anything with them because I don't think I have anything here. But if I had tomatoes, I could put those veggie patties with tomatoes, you know, inside a lettuce wrap. Or I could do a mixture of broccoli and cauliflower, whatever, okay? Because this is packed with protein, so all you need are some greens. That was a lot of work today. Guys, thank you so much. You're knocking, Greta? Okay, I'll wait for you. Yeah. And then one day I can make some regular meatball. The only thing you're not gonna ask me to do is to fry something in meatloaf. I don't do meatloaf. I'm sorry, I never eaten that, and I don't know. It's very unattractive to me. You know, you cook and then you slice it. I do not like that. I'm sorry if you love meatloaf, but I don't. All right, guys. So dinner is served. La comida ya está. Okay? All right. I know I kept you long today, so I apologize. Have a great day. I love you guys. Bye. May have been a lot of work, but at least your meal is done. Yes, it's done. And you know what? I don't have to cook for days now, right? Thank you. Have a good day, you guys. Bye.